Podcast 83. Chris is under cyber attack.
I am. I am. This is the fourth restart to get this video to take.
We're trying to record this podcast for 3 days now.
This is insane.
It's all your fault this time.
It was kind of your fault the first time, and then like last night was my fault, and today was kind of my fault.
Yeah, sure. 2 days in a row it was your fault.
But
Um, something interesting. He might even listen to this podcast, but I had a guy call yesterday, and he wants to kind of work together, collaborate with some consulting. He does a lot of stream and stuff restorations and forestry stuff. He lives right in Dover, Delaware. So he wants to kind of collaborate with some stuff. Kind of give me work, give him work together on stuff. So
a little give and take.
yeah,
Not necessarily together, but
nah. Well, maybe
I was gonna
on
say,
some stuff.
what are you gonna do for water, and what's he gonna do for food plot?
Yeah. So he doesn't live very far, so we're going to meet up like the end of August,
Yeah, nothing
and that
wrong with
might
that.
yeah, it might make my consulting schedule even more busy, but yeah, another step in the whole process.
Oh well.
So that could be something for new clients and stuff. Looking, could lead into something there. But anyway, um, podcast 83, and we're just about getting ready for fall food plots, right?
Yeah, but let's talk about something real fast before
What do
we
you
get
got?
started. What
Who,
is
who whose feelings are you going to hurt here?
no, I'm not.
All right,
My own, because
all right,
it's my ego here.
all right.
No, what did you play any incognito?
Did I?
Did you?
Not this year, no.
Okay, I planted my incognito. It's about a
Hmm.
foot tall. Okay,
Yep.
full weeds
Hmm.
because we had that drought happened. I planted the stuff, and then we had like 3 weeks no rain,
Hmm.
and you can't stop the weeds.
Hmm.
The weeds have tap roots that go down feet
Hmm.
and will pull any available moisture to the top and then rob nutrients from what you've planted.
Hmm.
So I'm jaded. I'm chafed.
You're upset.
I am
You know,
because I forget what it's called. I would have to look it up on my phone because I used picture this and took a picture of this stuff, and it's an annual weed, and it's real low to the great thing about it is it's real low to the ground. But all my strips of incognito are just green as could be, and it looks like clover, but it's not. It's whatever this annual weed is, and
you,
it's not really bad weed, but
you can
it's
spray it with 2,4-D.
it's taking my nutrients, man.
Spray it with 2,4-D with a spot sprayer.
Oh, I couldn't spot it. It's everywhere. It's like carpet all around my.
That much?
Yeah, it's like carpet all around every stalk.
Yeah, you can spray it with You can spray the Egyptian wheat and everything with 2,4-D because this Egyptian wheat and everything's like considered a grass. So,
Considered grass, yeah.
um,
I'd be
but
I'd be afraid to injure it though.
nah, you won't injure it. I did it at the old farm, but you should have sprayed Simazine.
Yeah, I don't mess with that stuff.
I don't like it either, but you wouldn't have all these weeds right now, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't be
I mean,
jaded.
it's not weedy. It's just like I said, it's like a real low carpet like clover.
Yeah, but you're jaded. You're losing sleep about it.
I am. I am
See?
because
You can prevent it.
I think it's eventually going to steal nutrients.
You could avoid these sleepless nights.
I'm sleeping.
All right.
All right,
Are you
fall plot.
dodging are you dodging bullets?
I was. I
Okay.
was. Let's get started now.
All right, let's get started. He's dodging bullets.
Yeah.
All right. So, why don't you go first? What's your fall food plot planting schedule look like?
My strategy here
First
is
of all, we're
to
what are we? July 19th. Okay.
yeah, 19. I'm looking at about 1 month, 3 weeks to 1 month out.
Okay.
is
Yeah.
probably when I'm going to plant the fall plot.
Mhm.
So I've already gone over, and that center portion, I have 3 blocks. The 2 outer blocks are clover, and the center one is gonna be a fall plot, and that's where the stand is at. And I didn't put anything in there. I just left whatever was growing in there from last year, leftovers, just grow up, and it was a lot of weeds, of course. So I went over and brush hogged that last week, and then I went over with the sprayer and, tried to kill it all. So right now, it's in the dying stage, I'm hoping, because I only sprayed it like 3 days ago. So, but then we got that humongo rain within 24 or after 24 hours after I sprayed, which is supposed to help uh, translocate the herbicides to the roots.
Mhm.
So it might not be a bad thing. So that's my plan. I'm gonna go back. Once I start seeing stuff brown up and wilt, I'll go over with the discs and I'll turn it all, and I'll probably turn it a couple of times for a week or two, and then I will drag harrow it. And since it's a fall plot and the seeds are so tiny, once I get it all smoothed back up with the drag, I'll just leave it sit for a day or two, and then I'll come back and seed it. And just right before a rain event, I will seed,
So how come you haven't planted your fall food plot a month ago?
because,
Why are you waiting until the 3rd week of August?
well, I don't want picturesque monster tubers or bulbs or anything. I'm not worried about that. I like the young tender tops on all my food plots. Um, the frost date's later, um, third, fourth week October normally for me.
Mhm.
So I'm actually in a good range there for a 2 months of growth period there to get everything established. If I put it in any earlier, the stuff's going to be too mature, you know, overripe, and not that attractive.
Mhm.
So I purposely hold off every year till that point in time. Now, a couple of years ago, I put in Boss Brew, and I waited to the 1st of September and planted it. Yeah, it didn't come up but like 4 inches, but they killed it. They were just
What
in that, just nailing
what
it.
what are you planting?
Wingman. I'm putting in
Are you,
Wingman. It's got the
and
kohlrabi and the rape and the
Yep. And that's all
brassica.
brassicas, right?
Yep, it's
That's
all
all
brassica
brassicas.
blend. Yep.
So you're not planting any grains this year.
No, no, because I have so many blocks of clover and stuff. That's the only block that I don't have planted right now is just that. So I'm just going in with that brassica blend, and I'm going to mix a hot chick with it so that there's something green in the spring.
Send a hot chick this way.
Ooh,
Um,
I ain't sending my hot chicks. I need my hot chicks.
yeah. All right. So you're planting how what do you plant, like a half acre wingman?
It's even less than that, I think. But I'm gonna use the whole jug on it, but it's probably like 3/8 of an acre, maybe.
Mm,
Uh,
gotcha.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. It's barely over a quarter, actually. I think if you really measure it out.
And you're in north central
Mm,
PA, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yep. So north central PA, 3rd week of August, you're planting
yeah, yeah. I think that's a good bet.
with a frost date, 3rd, 4th week of October.
Yeah, yeah. I should be golden.
Sounds like a plan.
As long as we still have some moisture and we don't go into this drought thing again.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 years ago, we went drought monsoon and we went back into a drought again, and that it totally screwed me over
Mm-hmm.
because my brassicas did not grow well. The clover did okay, but the weeds you know, they were overkill. So yeah, we definitely have different weather patterns coming. The last couple years have been just not normal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just the easiest way to say it. And uh, I missed the domain beers and bucks the other night, but I got on and sort of skipped and scrolled through, and I guess one of the questions was, about, too much rain here, not enough rain there, and they were addressing that issue. I didn't listen to it, but I totally missed it. But yeah,
Yeah,
that was some of the stuff they was talking about.
I didn't
You
get to
know,
watch it either.
because they were saying they had plenty of rain, and I'm
Yeah,
thinking, I'm
we're
thinking,
dry.
yeah,
We're
we're dry
dry
as a
here.
bone, dry as a bone.
Dry as a bone. Almost as uh. Never mind. I was trying to think of an analogy of your old bones, but
Old
can't,
bones.
I can't think of something.
Can't think of anything
It's
funny.
almost as dusty here as your old dried up bones.
Okay. Well, and our rains that come down, they're not even really usable. That's the shame of it because
Runs off.
yeah, they're coming down so hard, monsoon type rain that everything's just running off and it's not soaking in real well.
You got to get out there and aerate the soil.
No,
Do it.
not me.
You're scared.
Not me.
Wife will kill you for poking holes in the yard.
Oh boy.
All right. So that's your strategy.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with. I'll stick to that.
Here's mine.
What you got?
I have a strategy. Um, I'm planting in Western, yeah, Western PA. Third week of August. Same thing. It's about an hour, 15 minutes from your house. But yeah, I plan around that second, third week of August, same time every year. Same frost date situation where it's like third, fourth week of October. Uh, I'm I don't go by any kind of calendar or zone or anything like that.
Never
All
have.
Nope. All you need, the people planning, all you need to know is when is your frost date. So if it's average, third, fourth week of October, back that up. If you're planting grains, wheat, oats, rye, try to back that up maybe 30, 40 days, something in that area. That way they have a time to establish and they are palatable leading into deer season. If you're planting brassicas, back up that where your frost date is, back that up maybe 50, 60 days in that area. Like you said, you'll have about 2 months of growth,
Hmm.
55 days or so. That way, those brassicas and stuff are still palatable when you need it. You want them to be palatable, when deer season starts. So I'm planning the same thing. I'm planting wingman, um, but the only difference is I'm bought a bag of the new oats from Domain.
Hmm.
I'm actually going to mix that in on the wingman. So
Okay.
I'll have the brassicas and then the oats coming up.
Hmm.
I haven't planted oats at that farm yet, so this will be the first time planting them there at that farm. So I'm pretty excited about that, about planting the wingman plus, having the oats in there. So my plan is I'm going up not next weekend. Me and you are going fishing next weekend, but the weekend after that, I'm driving to the farm. I'm going to spray, kill everything off, and then I'm having disc issues this year, so I have to rent a skid steer with a rotor tiller on it this year. I'm gonna be rotor tilling the fields up. Um, I had to do that like 4 years ago at the old farm. Uh, it works good though. I like it, and they're going to deliver it for me, pick it up. I only need it for like 4 hours, if that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to spray in 2 weeks and then come back in 2 weeks, which will be that third week of August, and disc it all up. And I'm going to drag it out, go ahead and broadcast my oats and wingman, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fertilize it, and I got to spray. Um, what am I spraying? Um,
For
from Domain, the
the
soil conditioner.
liquid. Oh, the
Um, why can't I think of the name?
oh boy, the
Dirty
seaweed,
deeds, dirty deeds.
seaweed, dirty weed.
Yeah. So I'll be spraying dirty deeds on there,
Wow.
and then add my fertilizer, granular fertilizer,
You're right.
and then I'll let that grow.
Hmm.
And sometime in August, probably second, third week of August, I will come back through with my backpack sprayer and I'll be spraying my food plots with liquid courage.
Mhm.
I didn't get to spray them last year. I just got tied up, but this year, 100%, I'm going to be spraying that whole food plot with liquid courage.
That's funny you say that because I totally forgot that I had that jug,
Hmm.
and I as well forgot to spray my liquid courage.
Yeah,
I did get the deeds on,
I did too. Yeah.
so I'm thinking if I can make a referendum here, I'm thinking one of the last disking that I do because I like to do multiple disking to keep that all turned over. Um, I will. I have a half a bag of fertilizer left. It's not a lot, but I'm going to throw it in there because your P and K don't move very far, and if you just pitching out P and K on top of the dirt, it doesn't really soak in real well. So I'm just going to go ahead and disc that extra P and K in that I had
Hmm.
in a bag and dirty deed it then too. And then
Dirty deed it.
yeah, I dirty deed it. So I will do that on the last disking, and then a little bit of starter fertilizer to go with the seed. I'll throw on top, probably with a
Now,
bag of lime too.
yeah,
after all that crap,
I don't need any. I
I
added
don't need any either. But
my pH is good, and I actually added more lime in the spring, which I added more than I needed. So
yeah,
I knew that I'd be adding some fertilizer, which is going to drop the pH and all that.
yeah,
So
that's what I said. I'll put a
I
couple
added,
bags.
yep, I added enough to where I probably won't need lime for a few years.
Mm,
So fertilizer wise, I do have to get some fertilizer.
mm,
Remind me when I come up next weekend to go
mm.
fishing to stop by J&J. I have to buy 2 bags of fertilizer.
All right, we'll have to hit that before noon.
Yep.
They're only open 8 to noon, so we'll
Or
have to
maybe
get
you
in there.
can pick it up for me next week
Mm.
if you can make it.
$100 delivery fee.
What? Just 2 bags this time. I don't need 4.
All right,
Yeah. 2 bags.
2 bagger.
Five triple 19.
5 20 20.
No, triple 19
You sissy.
for Nebraska's triple 19.
So
Um, yeah. So my next question here is, or the what I want to talk about is, um, we have the guys that planted in June, fall
yeah,
food plot. We've seen that trend. We already seen that disaster take place.
I was gonna say we heard a lot about it.
Yeah, heard a lot about it. Weed issues and this and that and arguments and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But for the people that want to do it the right way, why do you what is the purpose of planting things at certain times? Obviously, we're you could plant things at different times to manipulate, like plant maturity.
Right.
So if you plant earlier in the year, say you plant in June, what does that do? Let's start with brassicas. Everybody plants in June. Your freaking season doesn't start till October. What
Yeah.
is what
What
is that
use is
going to
that?
do?
Yeah. What use is
Yeah,
that? Well, if you're going to turn it back in for green manure, that's the only thing I could really think. I mean, yeah, you can feed some deer with it, but it'd be great to turn back in for manure. But other than
yeah,
that, if you're just trying to take trophy pictures of stuff this
right.
big round or whatever, I've never seen I've never seen a deer eat like a purple top or anything that was bigger than a baseball.
Hmm.
And they sure as heck ain't gonna eat one that big like a basketball or volleyball,
Right.
you know? I
Yeah.
mean, if they're that big, they're gonna have a hard time busting that open, they'd have to stand there and stomp on it or something. I don't know if they could even do that at that time of year when it's
Yeah.
frozen.
I mean, you gotta think if you plant them things that early, by the time deer season rolls around,
They're gonna be
the
monsters.
the leaves on them things are going to be huge, and they're just not going to be palatable. Now, they may not eat the leaves at that time, but I guess that would give you the bulbs for later in the season. But even then, it's just way too mature.
Yeah.
then we got the guys that planted in June, but they're asking what kind of chemical they can use to
Right.
spray in their brassicas. Well,
Because they
I've
run into
been
weeds.
yeah, I've been planting food plots for 20 years. I've never had I put this in a comment. I don't know if you saw it on the main page the other day, but somebody was asking about something, weeds and already in fall food plot. And I just like, dude, I've never had to spray a fall food plot
I've
because of
never
weeds.
have, no,
Never,
no.
never in my life have I had to spray.
Well, there ain't nothing you can spray on a fall food plot unless it's grains and
Mhm.
clover. If you're calling that a fall food plot,
Right.
I mean, what else are you gonna? You can't spray brassicas with something.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's something out there I don't know about. I
If
don't
there
know.
is for brassicas, I don't really know, and the reason I don't know is because I've never had to do it.
I
I
guess, yeah.
it's not an issue for
Drop
me.
it in the comments if you know something to spray on a
Yeah,
brassica. By all means, send it to me. I would
yeah.
like to know.
I've never had that issue. None of my friends that plant, you haven't had the issue.
No, no.
Clients that I go to, they're not calling me saying, "Hey, I planted my fall food plot. It's full of weeds. What do I spray in it?" It doesn't happen. Like you just have to realize that fall food plot is meant for the fall. It's not meant for
Right.
the middle of summer.
No, there's
It,
purpose. There's purpose to planting it that late in the year because the weeds are dying out, and they're short lived at that point. They're
mhm,
not gonna, even if you get some with the cooler weather approaching, they're just gonna wither off,
mhm.
and your plot's gonna jump forward.
Yeah.
And you know, I felt like making this comment too at some point.
Hmm.
If your brassicas are that weedy and you come to the conclusion that you planted too early and you can't use chemicals, you could always mow. Now, that's like unconventional, I understand, but if it's a good hybrid type stuff, it will grow back. I've seen people mow brassicas and they grow back and they flourish.
Mhm.
I mean, so it is a possibility.
I would have to add also that I have never have had to mow a brassica plot.
No, me neither, but I know somebody that has. And I talked to the guy online one time, or offline, I should say, one time. And I said, people are gonna lose their minds when they see you mowing your brassicas. He
Mhm.
says, he says, I know, Chris. He says, but I'm a farmer by trade. And he says, I can mow my brassicas. And what he does is he grazes his cattle off of them too. He can mow them, and then when they come back and flourish and flush, he turns the cows loose in them.
Hmm.
You know, so
Mhm.
yeah, I mean it works, but it's scary. I mean, who wants to who wants to mow their brassicas, right? But if you're that worried that you're gonna spray and start all over, try mowing the stuff.
Mhm.
It's no different than clover.
Yeah.
You mow the weeds out of your clover, so you can go mow your brassicas too. You
Mhm.
know, and if you were thinking about tearing them out and starting over anyhow, what harm can you do? If they don't come back the way you thought they would, take it out and start over then.
Mhm.
Whatever. You're not out of
Yeah.
anything. But,
Yeah.
you know,
My last point that I want to say is that we just talked about brassicas, planting them too early, but planting grains too early, like wheat, oats, and rye.
ah,
What happens with that is you plant them in the summer, deer aren't really going to hit them very much. So they're going to grow very tall. And then when they get tall, they become unpalatable. What you want is those grains, maybe 30 days, 40 days max, um, before your frost, is to where they just start to grow a couple inches. Maybe some other stuff in the air is going dormant or, whatever, not palatable anymore, and they're hitting these fresh grains, so they're eating them to the point where they're keeping them mowed for you. They're keeping them mowed for you to where they're continuing to grow, and producing all this, palatable tonnage. That's what you want. You don't want to plant them way in the
right.
summer and then have them become
Well,
What do you like?
you bring up a good point because I seen a lot of that in these forums as well.
Hmm.
How do I terminate this rye or wheat so that I can get my fall plots in? I've seen a lot of that already, and I'm thinking, well, you know, mow the snot out of it for one thing, you know, and then just hit it with a grass herbicide.
Hmm.
That's a way you could do that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's guys out there panicking because they had that wheat or rye in, and it's 3 feet tall now. Now they want to put a plot in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're asking when they can terminate or how to terminate it and all that
Hmm.
jazz. Well, I did an experiment that one year, and I left my winter wheat in from the year before all the way in to July of the next year, and oh my gosh, it was almost unmanageable. It was a
Hmm.
jungle. That winter wheat was almost 6 foot tall,
Hmm.
and the rye got up to almost 4 feet tall. It was all headed high, and I had turkeys and birds, and there was deer laying in it and all kind of stuff. And I just went and brush hogged it. I put the brush hog up as high as it would go, took a layer off, lowered it, took another layer off, and then dropped it all the way down and just mulched it all. But that's hard to get all that duff off.
Yep.
So I ended up taking my cultivators and my drags and just running back and forth across. It took a lot of time though.
Yeah. You
Not
get.
only that, but you got all that seed spread,
Hmm.
and then you have millions more seeds than your ground can support, you know. So I learned a lesson there too, but it was an experiment.
Yeah. Well, another example is, think of in the spring. So let's say you plant. Let's just say you plant winter wheat in the fall. You let it go through the winter time, goes dormant. Might perk up a few times depending on temperature. But let's say you come into the spring, that fresh tender growth in the springtime, deer hammer it, right?
Yes.
At the old farm, I did this every year. Planted it in the fall. It go get them through the winter time. First thing to green up in the spring, deer would hammer that stuff, right?
Right.
But it was literally like magic to where I'd have 15, 20, 30 deer in those plots eating every morning, every afternoon. All of a sudden, bam, not a single deer touched it. Reason being is because gre- uh, spring was coming. All the natural browse was starting to bloom. They started focusing on the natural browse.
Yeah, they would
The wheat,
abandon it.
the wheat got high, got unpalatable, so they
Mhm.
stopped eating it.
Yeah.
So that's the same example that you could use for in the fall. If you plant that stuff too early, it's too mature when they already have so much other green, natural browse to eat. So they're not going to eat that wheat. And then by the time hunting season rolled around, it's too high and not palatable.
Mhm.
So you have to think of that both ways. And I think that would, people would understand. But in the
Yeah.
springtime, man, it's the first thing to green up, but they'll hit it for 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, whatever it is, weeks. Then all of a sudden, bam, they don't touch it. So
Yeah.
end of story. That's all I got.
End of story.
End of story.
Episode 83.
Episode 83, fall food plot planting time. Don't go by dates. Don't go by zones. Blah 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 blah. What's on the bag of the seed? Don't go by that. Go by your frost date. Back that date up. 40 days for grains. 50, 60 days for brassicas.
Look for moisture.
Look for moisture.
Get planting.
Yep. Get planted.
See ya.